You want to talk about neglect? How about a 40-year-old tractor that's never had its coolant changed? You want to see what that does or what that looks like? Never had a rad hose looked at, never had the coolant even checked. It's because it's an air-cooled diesel. Okay, so air-cooled diesel, it's in for a valve set, but we're going to talk about it because it's a very cool, unique engine. You either love them or you hate them, and if you hate them, it's because you don't know how they work or the little things that you need to know about these engines. Okay, so today we're working on F6L913. That tells you your number of cylinders and your bores. So an F3L913 would just have 3 cylinders. But most of the Deutz diesels are configured the exact same. They were designed by the Germans. This is a mid-80s tractor, and I've been playing with these tractors since I was 5. Look at that. I've loved the Deutz tractors. They look cool. They're well built and well thought of tractors, and they were designed by the Germans. As you know, I like German things. And they were basically built for the war. These engines were designed so that you can quickly repair them while you're getting shot at in wars and that. These were in tanks. And they're cool because they are individual cylinders. So this would be a 6-cylinder. Each cylinder looks like a little Briggs & Stratton with all the fins. And the point of the individual cylinders is that if one of them acted up, you could pop it off, pop a new one back on again. You don't have to drain the coolant, you don't have to do anything. It's just a matter of setting up the right height of the cylinder head in comparison to the piston. It's cooled by a fan that is belt driven and another one that's hydraulic. And there's a tube here that I already pulled off to direct the air around it. You've got your oil cooler on the inside, and then you still have an AC unit with a condenser on the front. They don't work well in very dusty situations because they need constant cleaning to clean this out. And the fans, if there wasn't a lot of dirt and that going through, it would wear the fins, and then you wouldn't have your right clearance between the fin and the housing, and you wouldn't get enough airflow going through. Different engines had different fans, but the bolt pattern was the same. So if you didn't get the right serial number off of the block and the right specifics and the right part guy giving you the right parts, then you'd have the improper clearance and you'd always be running into overheating issues. This engine is about 100 horse, about 300 torque, but the bore and the stroke is the same as like an FL3 913 or 12. I forgot all the different makes. I've only had a handful of these come through the shop, but I wanted to go through it just because it's such a unique engine. We're doing a valve set on this one, and that's 6 thou cold for both the intake and the exhaust. You want to be able to shove your feeler gauge in between, but have some tension on that. We've got a whole video on how to set valves and why. Look that up if you're wondering what we're doing. This video is more about the coolness of this air-cooled diesel. We've made little shirts to help you guys with valve sets. If you guys haven't seen these yet, these show your which cylinder is rocking, and then set the opposing one. If one is rocking between exhaust and intake, then you'll be setting the compression, so 1 and 6, and those are upside down, so you can just look down while you're working. 2's rocking, set 5. When you buy a rebuild kit, you get one shim with it, and the shim goes in between the cylinder and the engine block, and what that does is change the distance between the cylinder head and the top of the piston. What you need to do when you order is to order a shim kit with it. That gives you various amounts of shims, and that will help you get the proper distance between the cylinder head and the top of the piston, which is between 29 thou and 32 thou. Less than 29 thou and you're going to get valves hitting pistons and you'll hear this little tick. If you have more than 32 thou, then you are going to have poor starts and lack of power. Compression ratio on diesels is very important, this one being about 19 to 1. To check that, there's first you want to check your protrusion of your piston above your cylinder. You bolt it down without the head on it, and you check your protrusion. That'll get you close. Then you bolt your head on, and then you pull your injector out, or don't install your injector. And what you do is you take a little piece of solder and you stick it through the injector hole. Then you turn the engine over by hand, and it will squash that solder. Then you can pull that solder back out again. Measure that and you'll know where your protrusion is. Very quick, very kind of rudimentary, but it works well. If you have these set up, these engines are properly, if you keep them clean and maintain the fans, they're a great engine. They are reliable, they are dependable, and they've been around for decades. Deutz doesn't make, as far as I know, they don't make air-cooled anymore. They have switched to coolant, and that's probably for better emissions, running hot, whatever, I don't know. But very, very cool engines. Mechanical injection pump, very straightforward, nice and easy to work on. The fuel tank is above the valves, but it's hinged on the other side. You take these two bolts out, you got a prop rod. This tank is full right now, but you can just tilt it up and work on it. The cover for the air just has a few little latches on it. You pop it off. You can blow this all nice and clean. The fans, nice and easy to get at. If you are running into heat issues, you can paint your fans yellow, and you're able to look through the front. You can see how much dust is on there. If you see bright yellow, you know your fans are clean. If they're dirty, then obviously clean them. Other than that, even the hood, very nicely done. The Massey's of this time takes about 2 hours to put the stupid hood back on again. These ones, 2 little bolts on either side, and your hood is back in place. Very, very nice tractors to work on. No cavitation issues, no coolant leaks, and they're just a cool looking tractor. The cab was nice, and this one is just very, very well maintained. So 40 years old and still a reliable old girl. You still see these around, and that is because it is a well-built tractor. Sounds much better. One of these, an auction, whatever, don't be scared to buy it. Know what you're getting into. Those little tricks and tips really either make it a very aggravating tractor or make it run trouble-free. Whether it's a tractor, water pump, generator, anything like that, you know it's a good engine because it's in multiple different platforms. So remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich. Like, subscribe if you like these types of videos, and we'll be getting more of these out all the time. So here we go.